party started.
We're here with the party, gentle
Hey, the
listeners.
party is
Welcome.
on. Wow, we got a lot. Look at
Yeah,
all this.
yeah, lots of good stuff to get through this
Wow,
morning
we're popular today. And
for our
it's good to
live
have a.
Q&A.
Hey, Ontario, thanks for fighting a good fight, Wayne. All right. Hey, everybody.
Good morning, Dan. How are you?
I'm good. Things are nice. Heading down to Las Vegas tomorrow to speak at Parker University's seminar, and
Nice.
I am my own track tomorrow. They're starting a new track at these seminars. That Huberman guy is also speaking, and somebody else that I keep getting told by people to avoid at all costs, but I don't remember.
Is he a bad guy? Is he a villain? Is that what people are saying?
I guess people.
I don't keep up with these things. I only make podcasts. I don't listen to them.
Yeah, I don't know much about. I mean, I know some about Huberman. He and like Dave Sinclair and Peter Attia, they're all writing those. The
How to Live Forever type of
yeah,
book.
those kinds of things. Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong.
Well, if he's a villain, you can put him in jail while you're.
Oh no, it's not. I don't know about anything about Huberman. But hey, hi everybody. Things are good, man. Body weight is down. Lifts are going up. Trying to stay ahead. Trying to write a new book.
Give us the quick update on the new book again, Dan, before we head to our questions. Yeah.
Yeah, the armor building formula is so popular that I'm trying to.
We get questions about it every week. People love it, rightfully so. It's an awesome program.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I want to share with my readers. So I've been trying to track my steps, and I have hated it because I hate using my iPhone, and so I invested in this. This is a $15 pedometer, and ever since I got this, I've added about 2,000 steps a day, effortlessly, because I don't always have my phone on because I'm not a 14-year-old girl. So, but yeah, I would recommend folks, if you're going to measure the steps, invest in the pedometer. And
okay,
it fits on it's black and it fits on my black belt, and nobody notices it. And it's nice. I'm telling you,
I might look into that. What brand is it, if you don't mind sharing, Dan?
The recommended one on the River Place.
Yeah. Free 1-day shipping one, whatever that one is. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I do think it is a. So I think this, Patrick, and if I'm a sport coach, I think this is that I get you strong in the weight room, and then we get the best techniques you can possibly have.
Yeah.
Then we build up strategies, the best tactics, best strategies, best recoveries we can have. Strength, get as strong as you need, and then get the most biologically perfect, biomechanically perfect technique you can have. Then other stuff. When it comes to everybody else in life, I believe you lift weights and you walk. The longer I do stuff, the more and more I regret any of that CrossFit. I even regret a lot of the high intensity stuff because, I just don't. You use the word squeeze not worth the juice a lot, and I think sometimes the high intensity stuff. I just think it's far better to. Well, drop the 200 calories a day that you're burning it with high intensity by, not eating that, I don't know, extra 2 pieces of
those
bread
milk duds. We know what it is.
Drop the milk duds.
Milk duds. Yeah, got them in your back pocket. We caught you. Yep.
Yeah. So this is.
I love milk duds.
And you're all free to completely disagree with me, folks. But I really think that if you're training for sport, you lift hard, heavy, and you do your sport. If you're doing life, you lift and then you walk, and all the other stuff, certainly. And someone's going to say, yeah, but what if you're getting chased by a bear? Well, if it's a grizzly bear, what the smartest thing, I had a professor get attacked at Utah State by one. He played dead, which didn't work out for him. But honestly, if you think you're going to outrun or outswim a great white shark or something, I get it. You will, but I would just avoid grizzly bears and white sharks. And,
yeah,
I always love it when people have all these, they make up these scenarios, and I'm always like, or you could just, avoid that,
Yeah, I mean, my favorite was my old boxing coach. He didn't believe in warm ups. Yeah, what? How you gonna get warmed up when you get punched in the face, right? And I said, well, not usually on my list of things to have happen to me on an everyday basis. And I've learned the hard way. In fact, I just kind of learned again recently the importance of warm-ups. Pat's got a little tweaked shoulder right now because I didn't spend enough time before getting into my presses. It's not
raise your hand
too
if you're
bad.
disappointed in Patrick.
Well, I can only raise this hand right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's super tweaked. I had ice on it, but I'll tell you, kids, it's like one of those things where I was just hopping into the routine, the heavy weights a little too quickly, and we're all still very dumb, right? At the end of the day, we are all very dumb animals. And I'm like, it doesn't feel great, but you know what? I'm a man's man. So I'm just going to go, I gave myself one of those talks. And by the third set, I knew that we were in the pain cave. So trying to get out of that right now. And if I would have just spent an extra 5 minutes just doing some prep work, I probably could have avoided the whole thing. So, and look, nobody was punching me in the face. Nobody said, do this set or get me. And there's no great white shark. It was just me and my arrogance and stupidity. That's it, right?
I'm good sore today. I have that good sore. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, good sore,
oh yeah, I love the good sore. Yep.
Good sore. I'm even sore. I've been doing some of those shoulder, the stuff to make your shoulders feel better.
Yeah, I'll be doing a lot of that here soon.
And I got to tell you, man, it's a weird kind of soreness for me. I mean, I'm used to snatch and clean and jerk sore, but I'm not used to sore, kind of like what the bodybuilder sore, I'm not used to that. It just,
yeah. That's all right. So yeah, guys, take your warm-ups, take your prep seriously. And same thing, I always recommend to people when it comes to warm-ups, have something global, have something specific. Your global warm-up can be your dead hangs, your original strength. Just get a light jog, some jump rope. Just get the whole system going, warm, lubricated. And then whatever you have on the menu that day, just do a few light sets. See how it feels. See if you've got the green light. See, if I would have done that, I would have immediately got at least a yellow light, right? It would have been like, in fact, I was getting yellow light. I just sped right through it, which I shouldn't have done. So, like I said, at the end of the day, we're all very stupid. So nobody's denying that. And one of those things, do what we say, not as we do type of situations, which I frequently have to remind my children of, right? Yeah. Dumb old dad. All right, let's take some questions here. We got some good stuff. Let's get through as many as we can. Steven says, hey, what are your thoughts about the kettlebell clean and double clean as part of the 30 for 30 for either the cardio or strength portion? So we talked about 30 for 30 last week, but Dan, just another quick reminder. We always have new listeners who might not be familiar with this stuff. Yep.
It's Gernot's. He was a great German discus thrower. It was his, he has a series of gyms over there in the Europes, and it's his program. I love it. It's 30 minutes, and you go 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off. Now, what I did is I really ran with it because I thought it was a brilliant idea. So you can do the way I usually structure it is 30. So we're going to do push, pull, hinge, squat, loaded carry, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds rest. You can just do that, and that would be what you do that for 6 rounds. You do push up, pull up, squat, the swing, march in place, suitcase carry, and you just repeat that for a minute. Or you can do a strength movement followed by a mobility movement, 30 seconds strength movement, 30 seconds mobility, and you have to organize that a little smarter. But what we're trying to do on these workouts, you could also, as gentle listener is asking us right now, you could also chase more cardio on it, though I think the cardio gets built in personally. But if you do decide to do something, of all the choices, snatches are not bad in 30 seconds. You could, in fact, it wouldn't be a terrible way. So here's your assignment, all gentle listeners. Grab the 48 kilo bell, snatch it left hand for 30 seconds. Okay, so 6, 7, 8, 10 reps. And then rest 30 seconds, snatch it right. And just do that for 30 minutes. That should be a good workout for those of us who are online. In the real world, I'm just going to say that the double clean is doable but it's going to be hard. So make sure you ramp the double clean up. You know, if it's the third exercise in a chain, make sure you have a lifting move, and then maybe you could probably squat and then double clean, and then the next move or two be something a little bit, you know, maybe a mobility move or whatever you feel good best at. You know,
Yeah.
For me, I can always press, so maybe double clean. Next exercise might be the press, but don't go double clean front squat. You know, because that would. It's just hard. It's just hard. So,
Yeah, well, I'm going to highlight this question because I think we're partially answering it. Brian says, I'm a dad to a young girl and I'm in school, so time is short. I'm trying to find an efficient way to get fit while not spending multiple hours a day to do so. Well, these on the clock workouts could be a very fine solution. So 30 for 30 on my Kettlebell Quickies channel and elsewhere, I've been talking about staggered EMOMs where you have a kind of a different assignment each minute. And the nice thing about that is it kind of gives you a little bit more space for active recovery that you can incorporate some of these heavier efforts like the double kettlebell moves and stuff like that. So my go-to for busybodies, including myself, are these on the clock workouts. Keeps you focused, keeps you productive, and there's lots of ways to be creative with them that you can check a lot of boxes, can't you, Dan?
Yeah, and I think your idea there is the 30 for 30 extended to the EMOM.
Yeah.
The thing about every minute on the minute is that if you do something that takes you 45 or 50 seconds, it's hard to sustain that for a long time.
Yeah.
But that I didn't say it was bad or good. I'm just saying that
it's just practically impossible, right? Like this looks intense on paper, but the minute you try to actually get it done, you're like, okay, that was just a fantasy.
My question for Brian is, what equipment do you have, and help us out that way a little bit, okay? And I'll give you a brilliant solution.
Here's one thing I kind of like is I've called it swing other thing. So the idea is you put 3 minutes of rotation, 3 minutes. You might do say double presses at the top of minute 1. And then you do swing. So for minute 2, minute 3, you just do a set of swings and a set of swings. So you keep moving, you stay on the clock. But by the time you kind of get back to the top of the rotation, you should be about ready to press again. Yeah. And simple. Yeah, but effective.
And the press I'm really recommending for most men in the United States is
seesaw.
Sorry. Thanks, man. Thanks for being there, brother.
No, I'm here to help. All right. Brian says he has plenty of kettlebells, steel maces, steel clubs, and a pull-up bar.
Oh, and you can, I like the idea of doing those seesaw presses. Here you go. Seesaw press, swing, pull up, swing, seesaw press, swing, pull up. Swing.
Love it. Yeah. There you go. And I tell you what, you put that on the clock for just I don't know, not even that long. You're gonna have a great workout, and you will not have spent hours doing it. Yeah.
And honestly, this, I'm certainly. I appreciate minimalism because I understand it, but when we used to have that finisher at the kettlebell certs where they did, you did. Seesaw press and then the double kettlebell swings. So those 2 bells became your swings. I always thought that was a really great workout. What I didn't appreciate is how crappy most people are at pressing. And I apologize because, if you don't, I'm sure someone who's a musical prodigy probably doesn't understand why someone like myself doesn't understand notes. And I'm sure a chess prodigy might get frustrated trying to teach the moves that Knight makes. I get that, but I always thought that was a pretty good workout. I would say for our gentle Brian, the clock is your friend. Your equipment is your friend. Okay. Don't forget, I developed almost every program that I'm famous for because I had 2 girls and I was just busy. Easy Strength is truly a product of the fact that my daughter's from middle school.
I like, because you've always said, and it's true, deprivation builds capacity. I think it also builds creativity, for sure.
Yeah. And I'm working with a person right now who's going through that as we speak. So yeah. Not being able to do something often reminds you of how wonderful it is to do something, for those who've ever been on crutches or had some issues,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
best way to
Oh,
get me to go for a walk is put me in crutches for 6 months. Yeah.
yeah. No, I'm gonna be missing a lot of things now with this bum shoulder, but we're getting it. In fact, here's a related
Tragedy.
question. Avery says, if you have a muscle or tendon soreness in an area that is starting to get worse with further exercise, how do you adjust your workout? He talks about bicep pain and hamstring pain. So, yeah, so this is something Dan, I know you've dealt with this many times in your career. Look, here's the deal, guys. Even when you're not dumb, when you're working hard, when you're training hard, when you're doing any sort of athletics, you're going to get tweaks. You're going to get injuries. It's not really a matter of if, it's just a matter of when and how bad and what you can do to try to manage the risk and mitigate the damage. So you need to be realistic. You need to be cautious, but you also need to understand that this is something that is going to happen. And we talk about trade-offs, right? You could try and just stay sedentary and not do anything, but trust me, the risks of that are far worse, right? At the end of the day, right? So you're not going to life is an injury. That's just what life is. So how best do we deal with it when it happens? A couple of things, points of advice from my perspective is, first off, if you're really busted up like I have my shoulder right now, you got to let the major anger go away. Don't do anything that really pisses it off. Obviously, we've talked about this with the elbow tendonitis issue that we've talked about before. However, best current accepted practice right now is not to avoid discomfort or even pain entirely. In fact, my physical therapist friends have been telling me that the best practice is, once it's, the worst of it is over, you actually want to get back to the movement and try and keep, and you could go into a 1 to 3 level pain. And this facilitates recovery. However, the key thing there is it better not be worse the next day. If it's worse the next day, that means you did too much too soon. So the encouragement is, yes, ice and all the usual rehab stuff, but try, if you messed up yourself doing presses, you do want to try to get back to the movement, but the pain intensity should be not non-existent. That's not realistic, but a 1 to 3. And you're kind of hitting the sweet spot if you're not worse the next day. If you are, then you did too much too soon. So complete avoidance is not the best thing anymore. It's not the standard recommendation. And I think that's right. Very true from my experience as well, getting back to exercises. However, you just have to be careful about how you approach it. And then of course, if something is out completely for whatever reason, I was just talking about this with my wife, and there's somebody in our social circle who it's, for them, it's all or nothing, right? If they can't do the plan exactly what they wanted every day of the week, they do nothing at all. And that's not the right mindset. Always something is better than all or nothing, what we say. So, you make adjustments, right? If pressing is out for a while, so be it. You still show up, you do what you can. If, for me, if overhead pressing is out, I'll see if I can do some horizontal pressing or pressing at a different angle and just see what's available, and just keep moving. And it's a good way. I've found that injuries are sometimes a good way to be honest about certain gaps as well. We've talked about this, Dan. Sometimes we tend to gravitate towards the things we're good at anyways. We get hurt at that thing, and then, I've been kind of ignoring the front squat for a while, so maybe it's time to fill that gap, and there could be opportunities in some of these painful moments. So, Dan, your thoughts? Yeah.
Well, that was really good. I just want to add an interesting point, I think, for our listeners. Gabe Mirkin, he was this guy. He wrote this very famous book, Information from the 70s, probably published in 80, where he coined the term RICE: rest, ice, compression, and elevation. Towards the end of his life, I believe he's no longer with us. He said the biggest regret of his life was coining the term RICE: rest, ice, compression, and elevation, because it turned out that what I was taught as a kid was more true. So when I was young, we were told that if something gets hurt, you can't use the exact terms my coaches would say to me, because this more gentle time. But one of the phrases would be "walk it off," and that is walking it off is actually what you just said. If you got a tight hamstring, try to walk it off a little bit. When I was young, when someone pulled a muscle, you put heat on it. Then, of course, then we were all told if you don't put ice on it, and well, funny thing is, now we're back to saying heat. So that's why I think if like at hamstring pulls, especially, I was always shocked at how. Now I don't get hamstring pulls anymore because I've so destroyed them that they don't pull anymore. They just,
There's nothing left to pull. Yeah.
it's Tuesday. Okay, whatever. Yeah. But a hot bath where obviously I'm in the L position. That heat and just lean forward to add hot water really helps. Okay, and Kevin goes walk it off in range of motion. So it's interesting because very often we discover that the ancient practices were a lot smarter than
the perennial wisdom, as we call it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then I like what
I like walk it off, because walk it off does imply an adjustment of intensity as well, right? So it's not saying it's not saying like just get back to doing it exactly the way you did, but you want to get back to doing the thing that you suffered from, but doing it at an intensity that it actually facilitates recovering and healing, which is again that kind of low level bit of pain or discomfort where you're not worse the next day. That's the key, right?
And if I can just finish one small point, and
absolutely,
it's something I must have been. Well, Cassandra was alive, so I must have been in the 8th or 9th grade, and I was with my brother Gary, and he talked about. He didn't talk about his experiences in the war very much, but it was one of those times where he just kind of leaned back in his chair and he kind of went like this, and he went, the worst thing is that nothing great has been written about it, basically referring to the tragedy that was the Vietnam War. And the reason that comes into my head is, okay, you got this hamstring pull. Well, what's the lesson you learn from it? Go back and figure out what you did wrong to get that injury. So I got this friend, his name's Pat Flynn, and he hurt his shoulder. And I hear him, he's yakking,
wagging his jaw, jabber jaw over there.
But the important thing is the lesson that he learned about, and I think you did. Pat, how old are you now?
35, if you can believe
35
it.
35 with 76 kids. Okay.
Yeah, not bad.
And at 35, you're picking up one of the great lessons I learned years ago. Things change at 35. Things change at 55. The rules change. You could have got away at 15 with no warm-up. Mm-hmm. You might be able to get away with it at 25. But at 35, you just have to tweak things. You just have to. So what my point I'm trying to say is, what is the lesson you learned from this injury? What did you do to get there? If you come to my house and you've never done an exercise and you decide to keep up with me, maybe not now, but in my prime, I'm just going to keep up with you. You're probably going to blow some gaskets the next day at least. You might be able to finish the workout, but you're not going to be able to come back. And what are the lessons? So make sure in other words, here you are with your injury. I think heat helps. I think moving helps. I think all kinds of things help. Okay. Progressing from now, let's walk, let's do some things, but then the benefit of hindsight, let's try not to make that same mistake again if we can help.
Yeah. And here's another lesson a little bit more in the background is, as you know, Dan, the various strains of the flu have been running through the Flynn house. I got the flu twice already this year. So my workouts have been very interrupted, to say the least. I go back into the gym and there's your classic ego lifting, right? I get back, I'm like, look, I'm nobody's sissy. I'm going right back to where I left off, right? No. Went right back for those big boy weights that I just put back down, like a month ago.
Yeah.
And got to be smarter than that, right? If you've been, just wrecked with a couple of serious illnesses where you just have not been eating or lifting with intensity, you try to hop back right in where you left off, you're asking for a bit of trouble there. And I found it. Right?
Gentle listeners, this shocks me. I have never done anything stupid. So, It's really hard for me to understand
No,
this, Pat.
there's so much egg on my face. Happy
I
to
have
take,
never
take-
one
happy to take
time-
all the shade. I know,
Not one time have I ever done anything stupid.
yeah.
I'm a complete mystery here. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. It's all right. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We've been through a lot worse. All right, let's take one or two more here. Hey, here's an interesting one. Stunt Mug says, "Hey, I have a question. What do you think about farmer or suitcase carry on a stationary bike?" He found it on Reddit. Dan, we'll smile there. Dan John.
You can do anything you want. I just don't
another
think-
treasure from Reddit. Yep.
I don't think stationary bikes are stable enough for me to sit on.
I would not touch that with a 10-foot pole.
And now you're going to add asymmetrical load. Sure. I mean, I just, remember when Peloton took that big hit about, it was about, 4 years ago, where they rebooted Sex in the City, which shocked me because I thought that show had by far finished. And in the opening episode, Big dies on a Peloton. And then they had somebody else famous in real life die in like the same week, I don't remember the details because frankly, I don't, but I think the best use of an exercise bicycle is to pick it up and carry it out and put it
just to use it for the carries. There you go. Not carry on it.
I should say exercise bikes have their place, and I get why people
but this is an instance where, look, if you just because you have two things that are separate doesn't mean that they need to go together. Do your farmer's walk, then hop on the bike if you want. Yeah.
Now, having said that, in about a year there's going to be the newest rage. It'll be called Bright Purple Theory Training, and everyone will be doing suitcase carries on exercise bikes and gyms, and
we'll look so foolish for disparaging
another way to make lots and lots of money in the short term and ruin my dignity.
Yeah,
folks, my dignity's been ruined many times.
Long gone. All right, let's let us take this one here. It's an important and interesting question. Does a lifetime of lifting cause more risk for having knee or hip replacement, or is it the other way around? I guess it depends how you do things, right, Dan?
Well, I was born with the condition that, and thank God for modern medicine. I don't know if I would have survived. I don't know. I'm not being woe is me. I'm just saying I can't imagine 15 years on that hip. The amount of cortisol pumping through my veins in 2010 was
it was wild. Mm-hmm.
But we know that almost across the board, the best thing you can do for your health. It's lift weights, do resistance training, and walk. We know that. There's a new book that came out by Michael Gross that I'm halfway through. He actually visited me, but he doesn't mention me in the book. Michael, thanks.
Oh, come on, Michael.
But he talks about the resistance training, and even AARP is really pushing resistance training for the 55 plus age, which is right. We know for women that I would say in the women I've encountered in my life, 99.999% will get better benefits out of doing strength training than anything else. We know that it aids in bone loss. Now, my only issue on the question is, and this isn't a criticism of your question, but this is a chicken or egg question, and it's really hard. You would need to have little Danny John be born in August 20th, 1957, and never lift weights and see how his joints do, compared to the other one, this version that, and I'm pretty sure I'd still need a total hip, at least on the left side. It's my friends who blow their knee, who've had knee replacements. In my experience, the ones I know have been obese a long time and or hurt it in a sport in their career. Here in Utah, it's been wrestling and skiing that give the knee replacements. And good. All
right. Dan, before we say goodbye, what do you got coming up? Any other announcements? Things?
Yeah, I'm leaving for Las Vegas tomorrow morning at, right after I finish my
Yep.
workout. I got I will be I don't have details yet, but I am going to do a workshop with Tim Anderson on Australia. I already got my flights.
Awesome.
And that's in September. So it'll be in Brisbane, or if you're from South San Francisco, because we live right next to a town called Brisbane. I'm excited about that. My inner circle starts next Wednesday, for God's sakes. That's amazing. I'm working my best on this new book, though. Like happens sometimes, you just start to flounder. I am thinking about just making it a course on my site, because it's all, Dan, I can only train Saturday and Sunday. How do I do the armor building formula? Dan, I can only train 2 days a week. How do I do? I can't fast, but I can't fast. Yeah. How do I, and I just feel like all I'm doing is, so I don't see that as a book. I see that as a series of answers. Makes sense to you?
It does. It does. It does.
So,
right. Writing is.
And I got to tell you, folks, if you haven't counted calories, I'm just doing a public service reminder. I would say about a week a year, folks, you should count your calories for maybe a week, maybe 3 days.
Get a general idea.
Get a general idea. One of the things I like a lot, I was shocked to see how few calories I eat daily, Patrick. It has been very, no, it's not like but I basically eat the same thing almost every day. Just counting your steps and counting your calories every so often just kind of makes you go, oh, okay.
That's where I'm at. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And if, and the other thing I would say, if you get a chance, gentle listeners, don't forget to measure yourself, take some pictures every so often. And the reason I'm saying that is because, of course, it's a huge snowstorm out there today here in Utah, but we are getting ready for thong and bikini season. And a lot of people wait until May. And I just, the reason I'm saying this is because I'm getting those emails and questions from people. Hey, I got to get in shape for the summer. And my point always, right now, we're in March. It's the day after Happy St. Patrick's Day, Patrick.
Yeah, you too.
It's March, April, May, June. If you want to be in bikini shape, thong shape, waiting till May, it's much easier to, turn the calories around now than it is, trying to do it all in May is really hard.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a good time to check in. I think March is a really, it's also Lent, March. They're all good times to kind of check in for those of us in the Northern hemispheres. It's a good check-in period. Okay.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you as always, Dan, for being such a geyser of wisdom, and thank all the gentle listeners for your great questions. We will see you all next week. Hit like, share, subscribe, leave a comment.